Hello and welcome to Weirdos. My name is Kellen.
and I'm Jay, and you've already got me laughing. Welcome back to the first episode of the year. We are joined by producer Rodney.
Hey.
Ow!
Hey, Rodney.
Hey, guys.
If you're watching us over on our YouTube channel, you can see him in the back. If you're also watching us on the YouTube channel and not listening, you'll see a guest who we'll get to momentarily. But again, welcome to our first episode of the new year, 2022.
2022.
We made it.
We did. I'll tell you who didn't make it. Betty White.
I'm in the Matrix.
Betty White. The Matrix.
I'm in the Matrix. It's not real.
We're all in the Matrix. Don't you listen
It's
to
not
conservative
2022.
radio?
It's more like 25, 28.
Awkward silence. Anyway, Betty White, yeah.
Yeah, so 2021 just couldn't last one more day. They had to take Betty White from us.
I know. That hit me really hard.
Did
Yeah.
you cry? It's okay.
No, I don't cry. We've
Oh, that's right.
discussed that multiple
emotional
times.
black hole. Yeah, we actually talked about that last night over text. Didn't we? What I explained to you, heartfelt means does not compute.
I still had to Google it. It was like, heartfelt.
When we last joined you, we did our a look back episode where we talked about the episodes we had and the fun we've had. So we didn't really talk about Christmas. Did you have a nice Christmas?
I did.
Rodney, did you have a nice Christmas?
I had a fantabulous Christmas. If the camera's aiming the correct way, my kids got me a Signature Series Fender Lego set.
Please don't break that.
Oh, God, he's breaking it.
Yeah.
Look at there. It is beautiful. Anyways, it took me like 3 days to put it together, and I love Legos, and it made me remember what it was like to do Legos. So I had a fantastic Christmas. Thanks for asking to go on.
It's beautiful. I had a terrible Christmas.
Oh.
So, I almost made it 2 years without getting COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And I got COVID. So the Wednesday before Christmas, we were having Christmas with Lindsay's family because her brother was going out of town. So we had Christmas with him. Her sister was sick. They wanted everybody to get tested. We got tested. We were negative. Her sister's at the house hugging everybody. So, yeah, I got sinuses. Okay, well, here's a test. Take this test. A few minutes later, she's like, it says it's positive. I'm like, well, maybe it's not really positive. Maybe,
It's a
the
false
accuracy
positive.
rate, So do it again. She did it again. Positive. Like, okay, well, I still want my presents. I'm selfish like that. I'm like, so let's go ahead and knock out this present part, and then you go get tested. So she was lucky enough to be able to make an appointment. She made an appointment at like 6:30 or something. She went and got tested, and 100% positive. Like, okay, see you guys. We're out of here.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know how many people were there, but every single person that was there got COVID.
Yay.
Except 2. That's me, who's been vaccinated, including other people who'd been vaccinated and other people who'd had the booster, and they still got sick. So my takeaway from this is a couple things. One, at-home testing, lies. So Christmas morning, I wake up and I'm just awful. Lindsay's fine. She starts to feel about 2 or 3 days later. She takes 2 home tests. They're both negative. She goes to Walgreens, gets a test, negative. Has one sent off, comes back 4 days later, positive.
Wow.
But she's positive because she has the symptoms and she's down. So for us, it was mostly just aches, fevers, and chills, which the aching was terrible. So COVID could have been, it wouldn't have been neutralized completely. But if we have this technology on this planet, we can make accurate testing that you can take home and do in an hour. That's all we needed. Because like I said, she had it. She 110% had it. And she had 3 tests and you're good. Go to work. go to work at your elementary school and be free and be safe. Like if we just could have the ability to go home, take a test, and hey, that's 100% accurate. I'm going to stay home. But no, we don't have that. We have to go to a Walgreens and wait for 4 days. I had an appointment at Walgreens to confirm my positivity. They said 9:45. I said, okay. They're like, come to the drive-thru window 10 minutes early. I said, okay. They open at 10. I was there for 30 minutes at the drive-thru window, just sitting there in my car. Wow. I saw the light come on. I'm like, nope, they helped everybody inside before they even acknowledged my presence on the outside. But if I haven't been vaccinated, I imagine it'd been a lot worse. You had it last Christmas. Was it last Christmas when you had it?
Yeah, got it 2 weeks before Christmas because ended up working out that on Christmas Day I was off of quarantine.
You came out.
Surprise.
Ron, have you had it?
I have not, but I've been vaccinated.
So what we kind of thought about, the week I was off, so I was already off a week from work, and then I get COVID. So I was off 2 weeks of work. And then this week we were off a day because of snow. So like, I don't know what it's like to work 5 days right now. It's going to be awful when I have to do it. But one of the nights that I was sick, I thought my hearing aid went out. And if you listen and you don't know I have hearing aids, welcome to Weirdos. Like, welcome to my life. I have hearing aids. And my hearing aid went out. Obviously went out because when you put them in, you can hear them beep, boop, boop. Like you hear them, come on, I can hear that, but it's not working. So obviously the microphone, something's not working. So this is on Thursday. Try to make an appointment, like come in Tuesday. I'm like, okay. So when I went, he's like, your hearing aid's fine. And he's like, looking, he's like, you probably got fluid. So he has a test that can test if you have fluid behind your ear, which is very strange. But it also hurts. So like those headphones they used to have that had the little pieces that came off and you could do different sizes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was like the biggest size, and he just like right in my ear. I'm like, he's like, does it hurt? I'm like, it freaking hurts because you just jabbed me in the ear. Like it's the pressure. Like I have an ear thing anyways, and you're just like, blah. So he's like, well, there's no fluid. So he put me in the little box where they put the headphones on. Like, can you hear that? And you raise your hand.
Yeah.
And he's, oh, your hearing's like gotten a lot worse.
Oh,
I'm like,
thanks.
oh, fun. Now, granted, he hasn't tested me in a long time, but I was looking into that, and COVID can affect hearing. So I think what COVID does is it affects the weak parts of your body. So my hearing went out terribly. My back bothered me more than anything, and those are my two problem parts of my body. Besides the stomach. It was good for the stomach because I wasn't ever hungry. But Lindsay has a tailbone issue, and that was her main issue in the aching. So it's like COVID attacks those weak parts of your body.
It's probably because you make her sit on the floor.
Well,
Give her spot on the couch to Zoe.
Yeah. Well, I don't. That's what she signed up for. Okay. So
She knew what was happening when it started.
it's like she takes up the whole couch. I'm like, yeah, but she's not taking up the floor. Have a seat. Take a knee. I mean, come
Take a
on.
knee.
I've known her longer. I can say these things because she doesn't listen. The way I explained heartfelt to you this morning, I said something. Oh, you sent that video, and I said he's such a weirdo. I'm like, get it? I'm like, Weirdos is the podcast Ken and I've been doing for over a year now. Maybe you've heard of it.
Speaking of partners that listen, mine does. The next time you decide to throw me under the bus, like the last episode when you were like, who's your number one? And I said Anna Kendrick, and you're like, well, mine's my wife. Suck it, Kelly. Yeah, it was.
I think that was one of my more.
The day after it was released, I walk in the living room, and Megan's sitting on the couch, and she just looks up at me, and she goes, "You son of a bitch."
That's like
Megan doesn't cuss, so.
That's the greatest hit for me, I think, honestly.
Does she though?
Does she? Yeah, she
Doesn't
does.
she? I don't think she does.
She's married to me. She has to.
Out
Just
of
to get
frustration.
through the day.
So, again, we're in the new year. Everybody has their New Year's resolutions, new year, new me, all that. We all have that. Part of something I wanted to work on myself was mental health.
Right.
And we've had, 2 episodes? One was about depression. One was just about me. Like, hey, shine that spotlight over here for an episode.
Both were about you.
But
Nothing is about Kellen.
well,
Except the porn box. That was all about me.
What? Crap.
So Rodney doesn't listen either. Anyway, continue.
thank you. Shame on you, producer Rodney.
I wasn't producing then. You guys were in a pillow in the corner of the back
first
room.
season, so we can let them off to
Yeah,
it. Right?
episode 15. In case you haven't listened.
Episode 15. Go listen now. So, anyways, we're going to talk about mental health a little bit just because it's a new year, and that's something that I think we all really need to work on.
Yeah.
But when we go into discussing this, we decided to add, this guy's been begging me to be on this show forever. Like, I don't know what he thinks it is, but, and we, I promise I have a list of people, and your name's number 1 on there. No offense to Sharon and everybody else that's listening that wants to come on.
Oh, wonderful.
We'll get to you.
But you were holding the list upside down.
Oh,
Wow.
spotlight.
Don't listen to him. But today,
Wait a
we're
minute.
joined with a
Oh.
very beautiful man. You may have seen him at your local Mapco at one point in time.
Oh, yeah.
Facts. Facts.
Come work for us. And this picture of this beautiful man who does not work at Mapco. But, ladies and gentlemen, Bentley Caldwell.
I'll clap for myself as
Yeah,
well.
hell, if I had my
Fill in the
picture on the
noise.
front door of a Mapco, I would clap for myself too, sir.
Right. Well, maybe not Mapco. 7-Eleven. Okay.
No.
It's
But
Map.
also like the face of Standard Proof.
Oh yeah.
Is it whiskey? Bourbon?
Bourbon.
Bourbon.
Yeah.
Which I have not
Nice.
tried. But yeah,
Yeah.
I started following them. I saw an advertisement. I'm like, I know that guy. I know that guy. So
Yeah.
Bentley, say hi to everybody.
Hi,
Tell us
everybody.
a little bit about yourself.
Oh man. Wow, I was not prepared for
Well, you
this.
asked me earlier for questions. I'm going to ask you one question.
Okay, go for it.
Who introduced us?
Oh man, we got introduced by Tennessee Bo
That's
and
it.
Matt Kyler. So this is the story of Bentley and Jay. So I used to be a musician, and I was playing a couple of shows with Tennessee and her band, and I think they got sick or something, and they were like, "Hey, we got this show at 12th and Porter. 12th and Porter still a thing?"
Yes.
It is. I think
is?
it's like a rental space
Yeah.
now.
Okay. Well, this is when they were like a restaurant with a venue, and so we were playing in, I guess, the restaurant, and I remember they gave me the show, and Jay was just like, "Who the hell are you?" You know?
I don't know this person.
Right.
First of all, Tennessee is beautiful, and like that's part of the reason I
great
probably
state.
booked her. I'm like, she's attractive. Her music's great. I'm like, let's have her. And then like, this is someone different.
This is not Tennessee. Yeah. And he was like, you were legitimately like skeptical of like if I was any good, because at that point I didn't have any like music out, so I was just like a guy. He was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." I was like, "Dude, I mean, all right, man." So I get up there, I start playing, and he was like, "So I got this other show coming up. You want to be on that?" And then this friendship kind of came out of that random show, and then we started playing kickball together. Which again, he was also skeptical of my kickball skills. He put on Facebook like, "Hey, I'm gonna start this kickball thing. Da 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 da. Does anybody want to play?" And so I was like, "Hey, man, like, yeah, I'll come out and play." And so we go, I don't know where we were, some field, and he's got like this like elementary school kickball. It's like really bouncy. He rolls it to me, and then I like sky it across the field. And he's like, "Yeah, you can play. Come on."
Give me a couple of references for your kickball skills, like your gym teacher from elementary school. Can I talk to them before?
So
I agree?
how long after you guys met before you did the kickball thing? It was very
quick.
short
Oh, it was
time.
pretty quick. Yeah.
You played the same season.
Yeah, we played that
Dude,
first season.
we were the first 4 people to ever get together and practice.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Over by the dam. In
Yes.
Hermitage. Everybody's out there looking. I was like, "What are they doing?
What are
Like,
they
it's kickball. Come on."
Yeah.
And Christy is out there catching like bomb fly balls from middle norm. Like, you're going in outfield. Yeah. That's
Did
what's
y'all's
happening.
kickball careers ever cross over?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think when I first started, I think he was like, it
Yeah.
was like towards the end of him playing with you.
Yeah.
We were terrible.
Oh,
like,
God, that
we were
first season was.
We were scrappy. We won one game. We won the
Yeah.
last game. Jada broke her ankle,
Oh, I remember that.
sliding into second. Like, kickball's dangerous, kids. Like,
Yeah, I have the scars to prove it.
Yeah.
yeah. You got hit. Someone chomped your. Oh, you hit someone in the back of the head with your face.
Yeah, so you changed shortstop and second for an inning, and put what's her face, who was
I'll
about
never remember her name.
my height. Chelsea, maybe. Anyway, the girl that was at second base was about to hear on me, so it would have been fine. I would have destroyed her and I would have walked away. But he moved a girl that was this
Competitive.
tall in front of me, and the one time she went after a ball, pop fly, past second base, I'm running full speed forward to get it. She's running backwards and just bam,
Man.
And then drove yourself to the ER in Trousdale County.
an hour away.
Like a
Oh.
boss.
Yeah, with a rag on my face and I know I look psychotic. Everybody driving by 40 was like,
Do you have
Kickball
any
brought us
hair
all
lip
together.
cream?
Kickball was a lot of fun. I had a lot of terrible people on those teams.
Oh, man.
Lost some friends from kickball. Who would think like
Oh, no,
kickball?
it's-
Yeah,
is
like-
high school.
It's real.
Lost friends. Yeah, that was. I'm very, very competitive when it comes to sports. I'm serious. Like, it's like over the top. It's a switch. It's a switch. Like they're like, let's go, and I'm like, I remember I slid into second, cleats up.
wow,
Jeez.
way to go, Ty Cobb.
Douche.
I
That's the sound that slide makes. Douche.
Metal cleats.
No, what metal cleats? It was.
He's on the side.
It was some
filing them
soccer
down.
cleats. And apparently, I just wasn't thinking. Like I just was trying to make second, and it really hurts to slide on your face and your chest. So I was like, "Let's go, butt," And I just wasn't thinking about it. And I got up and I'm like, "Yeah, I made it." And like apparently, the girl was on there. Her boyfriend was like pitching, and he's walking, bro, and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Click, oh, click." Ah, my bad. Dude, I did not mean that. It was just a natural instinct to slide.
Yeah.
The
If she
Rodney,
can't handle it, don't play.
the Rodney Clam cleater.
Yeah.
It's that move.
Wow. Are we going to get a rating now?
Oh man.
I always click not for kids when I upload the videos on
Yes.
YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the kid, I guess.
I mean, if your
Um,
kid is awful, then yeah.
so, Bentley, welcome to the show. If you haven't noticed yet, we can't get off on tangents.
Mm.
One of our
That's a joke.
sponsors is ADD. One in
Sponsor
particular.
them.
But, yeah, so kickball, and then, we did other shows together.
Yeah, we did a ton of shows together. Yeah.
And I think we became pretty good friends.
I'm glad you think so.
The
I'm
hesitation-
glad you think that.
Whoa, pause.
Awkward silence.
Wow.
Did we
All right,
know-
that does it for this week's episode.
All right, I'll see you guys later. Damage is done
I
here.
told you I cannot be held responsible for what anyone said before the show started. I did not know that was going to happen.
I just wanted to come on the show and put that on record, just that pause, and now I'm done. That's it.
Mic drop. Okay. It's
So-
really good mic.
When what you said used to be a musician.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. No. I am,
I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
but we
Well.
will. Go
What's
ahead.
the next question? No. I'm taking an indefinite break from music, and it has been about 3 years
After you won
now.
all those awards.
But seriously though, yeah, like 2018 was about the time that I was like, okay, like I did the UK tour,
Mhm.
and while I was on tour, I was kind of like, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
Wow.
And it was just like being on stage was fine, but it was like before
Yeah.
being on stage, it was
People
like,
don't realize that it's not about the stage.
yeah,
Stage
yeah,
I've got all day long.
Yeah.
It's everything in between.
Yeah. And so it was just kind of like before every show, I was just like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'd be backstage just like pacing, like trying to psych myself up. And then, of course, you get on stage and,
It's fine.
the audience is, but yeah, I just got to the point where I was like, it only gets bigger from here. And if I'm already like, feeling this way in this moment, yeah. And so I came home. I won those Nemo awards, and I was like, "This is a good place to kind of get off the train."
Yeah, that's
you
a
know?
mic drop moment for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel
Literally.
that completely.
Yeah.
Like I consider myself semi-retired from the music
Yeah.
business because, during the lockdown and everything, everybody was like, "Oh, I missed it. I missed this. I missed it." I'm like, I didn't.
Yeah.
And like that tells you something about yourself. Like
Yeah.
I don't play. I can't play. But I booked and promote, and it's a pain in the ass. It always has been, always will be, and people are ungrateful,
Mm-hmm.
especially people in this room. Just kidding. Love you. No, most
Oh.
grateful person
Look,
I've ever met.
This
But-
is my house. I can ask him to leave.
So we're gonna do this without
Yeah, but I'm all
you.
the way over here. Then I'd have to walk through all the corridors. It's not worth it.
No, we got you. No.
Welcome to B&R.
But yeah,
I'll
I
put
just,
your name first. You see what I did
I
there?
like
I
that.
smart.
that.
He's sucking up to you now.
Uh-huh.
But I just like it's not fun anymore. I don't want to do it, and
Yeah.
that can be our segue into what we were supposed to originally talk about was mental health. Because when I was doing the booking, I first started doing that as a way to help my mental health.
Mhm.
So I did it to keep busy with
Mm.
Kevin Johnson and One Must Fall was the first people I started with, booking them. And I'm like, this is fun. And I actually had bands who at the time were good, like Saliva and Crossfade, these bands that were considered national touring acts. And I got them to open for them. I'm like, this is neat. I can do this. And other bands like, hey, can you help us? I'm like, yeah. But there's a lot of people who just don't care. And there's a lot of people that not going to appreciate anything you do. And one thing I started to hate the most was I would get blamed when people didn't show up to shows,
Oh, yeah.
which is insane to me. And I'm like, they're not coming to see me.
Yeah.
Like some of my friends would come, like
Yeah,
Rodney
yeah.
and Christy would come, But where's your friend? There's 4 members in this band. You could at least bring 4 people to the
Right?
show.
Ooh.
And they wouldn't do that. And then it was like my fault. Well, you didn't promote the show well enough. Like, I don't think that's it. Like, that is not it, guys. Like, you need to take a look inside.
Mm-hmm.
So during the lockdown, I was looking at them like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'll do a few. Like, I'm still helping Sons of Our Fathers. I mean, I haven't in a while because we haven't
Yeah,
done
I mean,
anything. But
there's some
Yeah.
lulling
Yeah.
moments.
I have Ari Lerman. He's the first Jason Voorhees. I have him coming to town
Oh, nice.
in May. Like, there's a few things that I still want to do. It's fun, but as far as doing it all over, like, again, I started because it took my mind off of everything else. Like, I was miserable, and I'm like, if I'm doing this, I'm keeping my mind busy. It's good for me. I'm not thinking about the dark places,
Yeah.
But then it started turning into being the dark places themselves.
Opening
you
up
know?
dark places, absolutely.
And
No, I completely feel you on that because, like, with when the lockdown happened, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna like re-engage with that love for music and all this stuff." And I was like, you know what, this might be that moment, And I remember I pulled my guitar out of the case and I maybe strung like 3 chords, and I was like, "Nope."
Smashed
click,
it.
click, click.
I've been ignoring messages left and right, and I respond. I've gotten a lot of requests about people wanting to come through town, and venues now are so screwed up. Anyways, you don't know who's booking them anymore. Half of them are
Mhm.
gone. I was like, sorry, I'm just not doing it anymore unless it's something I really want to do.
Yeah, same.
But that was like, I had one incident. We've talked about it before, where this band accused me of being things that I am not by any means, and that kind of like, all right, you know what? That was the straw. Like, I don't want to do this anymore, but I continued to do it. And then the only good thing that came from COVID was me reevaluating that situation. Like, this is dumb, and I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Because it was making me miserable. So with the new year coming down, we always have New Year's resolutions, and we always want to do better and be better. And one of mine was get that gym membership. Guess what? I don't have it yet, but that's because I had COVID. There's always an excuse. I'll get it tomorrow. That's like our phrase at home is like, we'll do it tomorrow, like next month, next year. But
The weights are still going to be there.
one of my resolutions this year, and it is every year, is to try to be a more positive and a better person. And it's easier said than done a lot. And like we've talked about the last couple of weeks on this show, is with work, majority of what has put a stank on my life is work. And I think that's the way it is with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to not be that way. It was very hard. I'm also a product of my father, who is the most negative person on the planet. So Lindsay always like, you better not turn into your dad. I'm like, well, you better not turn into your mom. You're right.
Yikes.
Look, there's no light at the end of this tunnel.
So, we're trying to stop each other from doing that. But mental health is tough. And I know when we talked about what you would want to talk about when we come on, because usually we have guests and we just talk. And that's what we've done for how long now? Like, what,
23 minutes.
And that's fun, too. Having a conversation is great, especially if we haven't hung out in a long time. Like, it's good to reconnect and talk. It's also good to have subjects. And mental health was one that you had mentioned. I said, well, we did like a depression episode, but mental health and depression are different. And in case you didn't know, the person across from me is an emotional black hole, so he might not have too much to
The
contribute here.
abyss.
But
I'm just going to get you to cry. I just want you to cry on.
He will not.
oh my God, you can be on the show every week if you get him to cry.
If I have to just be like, this is Kellen.
Don't watch the
turn his
YouTube
mic
video.
off.
Don't look at the video.
Look,
Don't
I'll
look at
reach
the
over
video.
and turn his mic. I'll unplug his mic and be like, what do you have to say, Kellen? I don't know. I'm sorry. It's all coming flooding in. I'm a wreck.
So many years of just emotionless.
But mental health, 1 in 5 adults in America has some sort of mental health issue. Anybody have a guess what the number 1 mental health issue in America is?
Depression.
It's either depression or anxiety.
Anxiety. Anxiety is number 1.
Ooh,
That makes sense.
And 1 in 5 is 40 million Americans suffer from some form of mental issues. Of course, I have stats.
I would beg to differ. It's probably more than that. That's probably
no.
padded.
Yeah, you would think. Yeah. So it says 19% of the mental illnesses in America are anxiety disorders, and I think we all have that to a degree. So really, honestly, 100% of Americans have some sort of anxiety disorder.
Absolutely.
It's
Oh,
either
yeah.
there's too many dishes in the sink, or my sock is slipping down my foot. There's something that you get that makes you anxious, and I'm the same way.
You described Christy. Both things.
Let's bring Christy up. Let's wake Christy up and bring her up here.
You bring her in. Oh no.
But that's the largest one. Next is depression, obviously, which we all have that too to some degree. I think post-traumatic stress is another one. Our friend Eddie has a little bit of that. He was in the Army. He has some issues. We love you, Eddie. I want to get him on too, but I'm like, what would he talk about? We'll have to sit down and talk about that. He likes World War II and stuff like that, but I don't think we can hang if we have that kind of conversation. Like, tanks, boom.
Just turn the mics on and let them go. You guys just like, yeah.
3% is bipolar disorder. Borderline personality disorders, 1%. Schizophrenia is 1%. OCD is only 1%, which I also find that hard to believe. But part of the reason I thought about this too is I'm reading. Have you ever heard of the last podcast on the left?
Yes.
I don't like to promote other podcasts, but they're quite a bit more popular than we are. But it's three dudes who sit down and talk about serial killers, monsters, and things like that. Well, for Christmas, I bought myself their book, which is the last book on the left, which is chapters on serial killers. And so it's one guy who does the work, and he talks about all these things that happened, like Ed Gein, Gacy, Ted Bundy, and then the two comedians that just comment in between, and it's hilarious, and it's so in depth, and most of these serial killers had like schizophrenia and it was undiagnosed. That's the problem, is when you're undiagnosed. And that was the problem I had. Is at the time I was with someone who didn't believe depression was a real thing, like, oh, you're fine, just be happy, it's that easy. Oh, okay. So easy.
Next problem.
Right. And then, when you're put in a situation like that, you're like, well, maybe it is just me. Like, maybe I'm the problem and I'm just, it's in my head. It is in your head. That's what it means.
Yeah.
But I had to choose to go to therapy and try different things to come out of that funk. And I think I'm better now than I was then, but I still struggle with it every day.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you struggle with in that line? Because you're so beautiful and talented.
He is a handsome man.
So
They're talking about me. Don't watch the video.
Our
is
eyes
me?
are all
Whose
on
voice is
killing that when we said that.
Oh man, no, yeah. I think, on some level we all struggle with anxiety and or depression. I think I know for me, coming out of music and kind of coming out of kind of like, all right, that's been my identity for so long. Like, who are you? Because everybody knew me, and because at the same time I quit doing music, I kind of like quit doing social media, and so there are people who still associate me as Bentley the musician because I haven't said anything otherwise,
Right.
But I know for me, like 2019 was like the year of like me finding myself, because I had I kind of like blown up a relationship, and and it was just like, why are you doing the things that you were doing? It's like, what's the pattern here? And for me, it was just like taking an inventory of my traumas. I think a lot of times, excuse me, I think your mental health is the root of your mental health is typically what traumas you've experienced either as an adult or as a child.
Right.
A lot of times, every adult that we're talking to is just a larger version of their child, and so it's like that anxiety, that depression, stems from how you were treated as a child. If you were in an environment as a child that felt unsafe, of course you're going to be a little more agitated and anxious.
Absolutely.
As an adult, and so yeah, for me it goes, it went hand in hand. There were times where I would feel very anxious, but then there were times where I'd feel super, super depressed, where it was like, oh man, we're in like the dark nights of the soul right now, and you feel alone and all the things. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a human alive who hasn't dealt with either anxiety or depression or both. Yeah.
Or is there?
No.
Kellen? Have you ever felt these feelings?
Why is your face so red?
I know, right? God, geez.
See,
Wow.
that's your answer. We don't have to go into
I know.
And next.
No,
I mean,
no,
like,
don't take him off the hook.
If you
Let's
take
see
it like depression, I don't know that I've ever felt depressed. I mean, yeah, you get bummed out about stuff, but like just so bummed out that I just like couldn't move past it or felt alone or whatever. I've never felt that. Anxiety, like, so I get anxious about once every 3 or 4 months, just about kind of everything, like finances and stuff like that. But it's not something to where I'm like, I can't function day to day. It'll be, I'll lay down and my mind will be like, you need to pay that off. You know what else you need to do? You need to make more money because you're not going to have enough money to pay that. And it'll be just like an hour of me laying in the bed, just going through all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to do that. I need to, like, and I try to, and then I wake up and I'm fine. Like, so I don't know.
Sleeping it off's great. That is a great thing. That's why I used to take depression naps all the time. Like I would get so upset, I'm like, I'm just going to go to sleep, and I would wake up and I would feel better. So sleeping it off does help tremendously.
Yeah,
You're lucky that you don't have that where it just lingers on you though, because like I go through the same thing, the same motions. Like you lie in bed and you can't go to sleep. Usually, I'm pretty good about going to sleep, but if I'm not, and I'm just like, like constant over and over, same thoughts. I have this problem with sometimes I see a lot of things that trigger me. And I could be at work having a really bad day, and I'll see something that triggers me, and it just like ruins my day. And seeing a dog limp will ruin my day. You know that about me. But sometimes it's
seeing a fox that doesn't have chicken tendies.
Yeah. Did you see my fox video?
I saw it. Yeah.
I love that video. I talk about it all the time. I'm like, I wonder how he's doing right now. And I bet he went home to his little fox friends like, guys, I had the most delicious meal tonight. If you don't know, I fed a fox some KFC chicken tenders the week I had COVID. Chicken tendies, and he loved them. He loved them. And I loved
The
them.
weird part was he pulled out a little bandana and a fork and knife.
I know, it was so weird. It was like, did you know I was coming? Did you know I went to KFC tonight, Mr. Fox? But I have depression. I was once diagnosed with bipolar disorder because I'm up and down.
Right.
I think we all are to a degree. It's just life. That's how life is. He's not, but I can get stuck on a thought and just it can ruin a week. And one that reoccurs to me sometimes is like I could die tomorrow. Like I could be driving to work and that's a picture wrap. That bothers me. Wow. And we're not going to get into details on this part of it. Like what happens after? We all have our own ideas.
Don't open this can of worms, sir.
Episode 5.
We're not going to do it.
Episode 5, I think religion. We kind of talked about
it. It was
that.
episode 5 because we did horror 4. Religion was 5. We're not going to get in that. We'll do another religion episode eventually, but not today. But that stuff bothers me. Like even if I believe a certain way, it still bothers me. Like I don't want to die. And like so many things I haven't done. What do I have to show for it? And like that contributes to my misery a lot of the times. Yeah. And of course, money. It always comes back to money too. Because we can't all be models and make millions of dollars at MAPCO.
Those MAPCO millions, I'll tell you what.
It's really going to boost the podcast.
The managers get really pissed when you try to steal those prints. You try to rip them off the door.
I know him. It's fine.
He's never really tried because they're really hard to get off.
Oh no,
I just said they get
legit,
real mad because you're like,
you gotta get a paint scraper
with my lack of fingernails.
Like I'll be back with a paint scraper. We will
just doing this for 30 minutes eventually, sir.
Can you leave?
You okay?
They're not up anymore though.
Bentley.
I know.
And I do work beside MAPCO, and I cannot confirm nor deny that he gave me the one that he took off and is on my ceiling at home.
Right above his bed.
That helps my mental health. But
so you were looking at me the whole time, and now I'm just on the podcast. Oh,
wow.
Well, that's because I was getting my fill from my ceiling. I'm like, he's right there.
I don't need him.
Can of worms, Rodney. What about you? What mental issues you think you personally struggle with that we don't know already?
Can we answer this for you?
Absolutely. Please. Next.
Okay.
I'm
surprise intervention.
Let's do it this way. What's our time?
34.
All right. Let's do it this way.
Okay.
Talk about what you think you struggle with the most and what you try and do to make yourself feel better.
As you know, I see like butterflies, rainbows, and leprechauns. I always try to find the best in something. And you were just saying this a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
It always leads back to this. How you were treated as a child. I had literally the best upbringing that I could possibly ask for. Were there ideology issues growing up? Absolutely. But I was loved. Mm. And I had, me and my brother and my sister, my mom and dad, it was just us 5.
Mm.
And it was beautiful. And I have anxiety when I see, like talking about empathy. We were talking about that. When I see somebody struggling, I want to help.
Right.
And I can't fix things. And the thing that I struggle with is that I can't fix everything.
Mm.
I'm sorry. Empathy, Kellen, is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Sorry, Rodney, you can go ahead.
I'm empathetic.
He is also crying and not from sadness. But I struggle with that. I struggle with the ability to not try to jump in and fix things because I can't.
Yeah.
And having to realize that, if I don't take care of me, I've lost myself in so many things, so many times. Like my job, was going to talk about it on the next one, but I turned in my notice today.
Wow.
I already have another job.
So you turn in your notice, you quit music. I'm learning so much today from my friends.
Well, I am excited because, I like fixing things. I like making things, the back porch, this room. Legos. I like building stuff. And there was an opportunity for me to start working with Shay and not lose any money
nice.
with the ability to progress.
Yeah.
So I get to work with my hands and actually build things. And I can remember it took me about like 8 weeks to build that porch, just nights and weekends and things.
Right.
It got on everybody else's nerves because that's all I did. It's all I thought about.
Mm-hmm.
But it made me happy.
Yeah.
And if people can just let go of the ideology that you can fix someone else, seriously,
Yeah.
you can't. You
cannot.
cannot.
Yeah, it's like you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved.
Nope.
Yep.
And
I struggle with that same thing. Like,
yeah.
I always try to fix things. That's part of my problem at work is I've been there almost 12 years. And like still to this day, I'm like, this person should be doing this and not that. But I'm not a supervisor. I'm not even in their same department. But I know I do the job of 3 people daily, and I see them barely doing one job, and it pisses me off. But like, I can't do anything about that. That's my struggle, and I've gotten better. Like I said, ever since my grandmother died, and my grandmother passed away, and they didn't want to give me bereavement pay because the funeral was on a weekend, and I had to ask. I'm like, so we buried her Sunday. I'm like, can I at least take off Monday, like the day after I put her in the ground forever? And like, oh yeah, I guess that's okay. But they didn't offer that to me. They just said, "Oh, you don't get bereavement because of the weekend." Like that was the final straw for me. Like I've not been the same person at work since then, and I will not be. I would like check my emails on the way home driving. Like, okay, I just left 5 minutes ago. I'm gonna check. I'm not doing that anymore. I don't get paid for it. They don't deserve me to do that. That's something I'm trying to change. Lindsay mentioned like we were off for 2 weeks. She's like, you were so happy, and then the first day I went back, I'm just come home and I'm just like, bah! Like I hate everything. I hate it all. And that's all it took was 8 hours at work for me to get that mood to shift so drastically. So that's something I've been trying to do, and I have my ways. But like, what helps you, Billy, when you get in that dark spot that we all find ourselves in sometimes? What do you? I'm sure you used to be music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you grab your guitar, play, but you don't do that anymore.
Yeah, well, and that's honestly the thing was with music too. Music was never a source of happiness, and that's when I knew kind of too that it was like I probably don't need to do this anymore. Right. I know for me, just like I said, with 2019, I really just went on this like personal growth journey. Where it was like, all right, like let's figure out better ways of coping. Well, actually, let's figure out why we do what we do, and then let's figure out better ways of coping with those things, And I, I went to therapy for the first time in my life, and and I was a grown man, Does
that make you feel belittled?
What, going to therapy?
Yeah.
Well, that's why it takes so long for sure.
Yeah,
I was the same way.
Well, and that's what I was thinking about this on the way over. I was like, it's going to be 4 guys talking about mental health today. And that just is that, we grow up in a world that just says, man up, shrug it off.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
and that's
emasculating.
well, that's why the suicide rate is so high in men,
Absolutely.
because it's like we're told, don't talk about your emotions. That's a female thing. That's a, you're this, you're that if you talk about emotion. And I was always a highly sensitive kid just in general. And so it's like, if my emotional level got too high, I'd cry, and it wasn't because I was, I'd cry if I was too angry. I would cry if I was too happy. I'd cry, it was just like, I was
absolutely.
Right.
but people would always say, oh, you got to quit crying, man. You da, 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 da. And so for me, going to therapy and just kind of normalizing, saying, I need help.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I do know that I am destroying my life because I'm not getting to the root issues of why I'm doing. So for me, just backstory, my mom had me when she was 19, and like I never knew my father. Still to this day, I've never seen him, spoke with him, have no relationship with him. And then about 8 years ago now, I think, my mom passed away, and so for all intents and purposes, I don't have parents, and so it was this thing of like when my mom passed away, things got weird because it was like that thing of like, if you go home, if you have parents, you can always go home,
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, like I can always go and talk to my mom or talk to my dad or go to my parents' house or whatever, and it's like I didn't have parents anymore.
Yeah.
And the home that I had in Paducah, Kentucky, which is where I'm from, was no longer there. And so now I was like, oh crap, like I'm just floating out here in
So
this,
you
in
feel
this
like a
world.
man without a home and the ability to just have to suck it up.
Yeah, yeah, I had to grow up
Yeah.
like that, and that was kind of the beginning of me trying to cope with that void, and it was at first, it was like, no, I'll pour myself into music, and and so like I recorded my first EP, and like my music kind of started taking off, and then it was like that, as musicians, we have that thing where it's like, that tasted good, but I need more.
Yeah.
I need more. I need more, and
Right.
I remember having these conversations with myself of being like, okay, don't do drugs because, that'll kill you, or, don't start drinking because that'll kill, And so what ended up happening, I'll just be completely open and honest, I started turning to women, because I was getting that, feeling from, sex, but then I was also getting that emotional need met from having a woman,
It's
in my life, even if it
that
was
makes
just
a lot of.
for,
I mean, that makes so much sense, though.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
And so
just
then, okay.
yeah, no, go.
Well, then like fast forward, 6 years, I meet, this person who really loves me for who I am, but I've been in this cycle of just trying to reciprocate, like trying to find love, and trying to find just any semblance of it. And so when I found this person who actually loved me just for me, I didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I imploded. I destroyed it, and I had to go, okay, why did you do that? You were not actually in harm. Like, you know what I mean? Just like there was no there. She wasn't trying to kill you.
Found a train track and jumped on the track.
Yeah. It's and
It,
then
was,
the
it
train was
wasn't
coming.
get out, right?
Yeah.
Well, and what you're talking about is something that is hard to do for anybody, but specifically in a society where, like you said, men are told to hold their feelings in,
Exactly.
is to become introspective.
Yeah.
To not, because a lot of times you don't want to admit you have a problem. Alcohol, drugs, sex, whatever the addiction
Mhm.
is.
Yeah.
It's not me. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's big to
Well,
actually take the look in and say, what am I doing?
Dude,
Well,
that's
and the thing was too, for me personally, it was like, oh, you're a musician, oh, you're single, you're a good-looking guy, you should be doing this, and so no one was. Say what?
So modest.
I mean, you said it. I wasn't gonna.
I think, yeah, we probably said it multiple times.
I mean,
already.
I don't lead with it, okay? I don't lead with it,
I
but
would-
if it's already in the room, I just kind of double down.
that
on
would
it.
be on the top of my resume.
We laid it up. He slammed it
Good
home.
looking
It's
guy.
so.
Go ahead.
What you just said actually makes a tremendous amount of sense. It was almost self-justification.
Yeah.
You got a sense from somebody saying, "Well, that's what you should do because you're this."
Yeah.
And it wasn't your choice necessarily. It was. I
Yeah.
mean, you want to make that choice, but it's almost like an acceptable thing in your position.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
You know, like
people-
someone can, like, an NFL player can, run a red light at 160 miles an hour and everything's okay
Mhm.
because he had a really fast car.
Yeah.
You know, it just, you said something other, I was thinking, God, my ADHD allowed me to come back to this point, because this is the irony in the statement when somebody is talking about masculinity, just
Mhm.
man up, but they will be the first ones to talk about anger, which is an emotion.
Mhm.
Very first one. Let me tell you, it's just, okay, it's still an emotion. You're
Mhm.
still talking about it. You're still telling somebody what pissed you off. Masculinity has nothing to do with being able to beat somebody up or whatever.
Exactly.
You're wrong, idiot. Get out.
Exactly. Thank you.
But
Like,
no,
when
that-
you said,
go
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, when you said that, I just had this thought, like a segment, like squirrel, and we have like a squirrel spin on the screen, blah, 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 and it's Rodney going back to a thought that's been in his head running around this whole time that he hasn't gotten out yet.
It's that one. There are 17 that take off at the same time, and that one just missed the loop, and it was just spinning. It's like, there it is.
Gotta get
Yeah.
to it. Gotta get to
But
it.
no, but that is true. I mean, I think, the only emotion men are allowed to
It's anger.
is anger. It's like, oh well, he has to be an angry man. It's like, but
He's
no,
got
like,
so much on him, so
Yeah.
just be angry.
yeah,
You can't
or
be sad.
exactly, or it has to be some huge thing that makes a man sad, like his friend has to die, or his dog, or something
Somebody
like that.
died in his
know?
arms or something.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay,
Just
now he
died
can
in
be.
your arms tonight.
But yeah, it's like now he can
something
be.
Bentley said.
He said
It's the
he's
voice.
not a musician anymore. This isn't.
That's why I'm a conundrum, though, because I'm always sad and I'm always angry.
Yeah.
I am a man.
Wow. Good job.
But why?
Why? We don't have time for that. But you're talking about imploding your relationship. Like, have you ever seen the movie Perks of Being a Wallflower?
I have
Or read the
not.
book?
Uh-uh.
One of the lines in that is, we accept the love we think we deserve. And
Exactly.
that's 100%
Nice.
accurate. Because even when, we meet people who treat us a certain way, we're like, why? Like, I'm garbage. Like, why do they treat me that way? And it's just because that's the vision we have of ourselves in our head makes us think like we're worthless, we're below them, and they need something. They're trying to put my brain in someone else's body or something of that nature, where they're trying to get one over on us, but really they do care about us and they want to see us succeed. But we're just so skeptical because we've had people in our lives who say depression's not real, just be happy. We have pieces of shit like that in our lives.
Yeah.
We all do. And that's another thing to help with your mental health, is get away from those people. And I've done that over the years. I've had people in my life that was like that. I'm like,
Oh, totally.
we can't be
Yeah.
friends
And
anymore.
it's like that cycle of abuse. You
Yeah.
have a kid that comes from an abusive home. They grow up to either be an abuser or be abused because that's what they know and that's what they feel
all
they
know.
deserve.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even so much they feel that they deserve it. It's also they feel that that's safe.
Yeah.
It's like if you grew up in a war zone where things were always exploding, whether literally or theoretically, and then you put somebody in a place of peace and
They don't know how to
calm,
deal with it.
They don't.
No, their legs shaking,
yeah,
they're
because they
like
don't-
thumping. Like,
yeah,
Well,
because they're waiting. They're waiting for the boom.
It's like the people that move from a city. This is, a simpler explanation, but people who move from a big city, they live near trains, loud noises, and all that. They move to the country and they can't sleep
Mm-hmm.
It's too
because
quiet.
it's too quiet.
We've all seen that episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Kellen. Come on.
Have we? Though? But that's a real thing. There's
Yeah.
people
Yeah, for
people
real,
will
yeah.
move to a quiet area and they almost have to have something else going on because they can't adjust.
Well, it's that
They're so used-
overstimulation,
yeah.
where it's like
Yeah.
their mind has been
Shuts it off.
Well, because as a child, it's like early on in your development stage, it's like you're just a sponge, and it's like everything you're taking in is shaping how you view the world. So it's like if you have, a father who's loving and caring and whatever, you're gonna look at all the men in your life as okay, that's how it should be, And so if someone does come and they're like really angry or really, you go, no, that's not how, that's wrong. But if you
Right.
have the flip side of you have a father who's constantly beating you down,
Yeah.
constantly degrading you, and then you find, a father or a male who comes in your life and wants to encourage you
Supportive.
and wants to be supportive,
Mhm.
you're gonna, whoa, what do you want from me?
Or there's that thought in the back of your head that you're waiting for it.
Exactly.
Like especially with a relationship, the woman might have had an abusive father, and then comes across a guy that treats her well, and she can't accept that relationship because the whole time in the back of her mind she's like, I'm just waiting. It's
just waiting.
I don't know what it is yet, but at some point I'm gonna push him over whatever that edge was that my dad had, and he's gonna do the same thing.
And then a lot of times
they never fully invest their emotions or love, because they're just waiting.
Yeah, and even in that vein, a lot of times they'll go, okay, well, I'm gonna do something to make you treat me like that.
Yeah, to prove that my image of what men is right.
Yeah, to double down on. See, I knew it.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ooh. The thing is to definitely, if you're in a situation like that, if you have thoughts like that, is to know that you're not alone. No one's alone.
Nope.
And we've said it before. Like, if you think you're alone, we can give you our cell phone numbers, our address. You can come talk to us. We'll talk you down. We'll talk you off a cliff. We'll do whatever you need.
For real.
Because you're not alone. Like, you're loved by somebody, and probably us. We love a lot of people.
And to kind of double down on what you said about the perks of being a wallflower, you're worthy of the love that you give. Yeah. Because I think a lot of times people who don't think that they're worthy to be loved will love super hard for everyone else.
Yeah.
And it's like, turn that love inward as well.
I'm that way to a degree. Like, Lindsay always tells me my love language is gifts. Yeah. And I mean, y'all have experienced. Like, I buy things.
Yeah.
Most of you have experienced it.
2 of the 3 people in this room have experienced that.
I gave you the greatest gift of all on this podcast. But
national exposure to an audience of at least 32 people.
Sir,
on a good day.
Don't you overextend our reach.
But we all have a different love language, and that's fine too. Like, some of it's hugging and kissing, some of it's gifts, some of it's just, words of affirmation, some of it's sending an automatic text that says, I'm driving, when you try to text them something. It just depends on who you are. But as we wrap things up, again, you're not alone. There is help out there. Call us, the National Alliance for Mental Health, Mental Illness. You can call them. It's 1-800-950-6264. They have a lot of resources online as well. You can also call the Suicide Prevention Hotline, which is 1-800-273-8255. Contact us. Send us a message on Instagram, on Facebook. We'll respond because we're vain and we're always on social media. But thank you, Bentley. I think this was a great episode.
Thanks.
Another round of applause.
Amazing.
Clap for yourself. Producer Rodney. Kellen, tell them about all the socials. You're better at it than I am.
Yeah. If you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, just make sure you search Weirdos a Podcast. If you don't, and if you also want to see the videos whenever we don't mess them up, go to YouTube and search Weirdos a YouTube channel.
And what's the new one you play on?
Shuffle. Yeah. So, and I'm not trying to, promote the app because they're giving me anything. They're not, definitely not a sponsor.
Not yet.
But if you enjoy the social media aspect of, say, Instagram, interacting with actual celebrities and things like that, not that we're celebrities yet, but if you enjoy that and you enjoy podcasts, Shuffle combines them both. So you can actually listen to the podcast, and if you want to make a comment on a specific segment, it will timestamp it like a YouTube video. It will timestamp it, and we will actually see what you're talking about, and we can interact with you through that.
That is neat. And we'll close with this. You say we're not celebrities, but I got mistaken for one yesterday. And if you're not on Facebook, you're not aware of this.
Oh, wow.
We both did recently, which was super
Yours
ironic.
Is accurate.
Ish.
So you say you like
Ish.
Jason Sudeikis. Right now, not so much, but you do have Jason Sudeikis features. And I said we should do an episode where I'm dressed as Coach Beard and you're dressed as Ted Lasso, but you don't want to shave your beard, so we won't do that.
Because if I shave my beard down to just a mustache, the police will show up.
Somebody's children next door.
Somebody's calling a hotline.
We're really close to a school, guys.
Sir, you have to be on a list. I don't know why, but
so I get this all the time where people are like, you look so familiar. Like, I get it all the time. And usually it's Philip Seymour Hoffman, which, okay, sure. Sometimes it's Drew Carey. Sure.
Oh,
Sometimes like, you look like somebody I went to high school with. Someone on the phone the other day, like, did you go to Portland High School? And I'm like, no, I did not. I said, but my best friend Kellen did. And she's like, well, you look like a guy I graduated with, and she was born in 1965, so I don't think it was me. But yesterday I'm at the Dollar Tree, and I'm checking out, and there's this couple, and the guy is staring at me. I'm like, here it comes. And then he looks, you look like that guy on TV. And I'm like, oh, yeah, which one? Like, the Saturday Night Live guy. And then the wife's like, yeah, Pete Davidson.
No.
Wow.
And I'm like, if you listen to this and you don't know what I look like, I do not look like Pete Davidson. Not
No.
even a little bit. You remind us probably the circles under my eyes. That's the only characters. I don't have a giant horse mouth. Like I have very normal features. I don't look like Beetlejuice when he was alive, which is what Pete Davidson looks like. But I was like, oh yeah, totally. And then they left, and I check out, and the girl behind the camera, I'm like, I do not look like Pete Davidson. She's like, no, you don't. I'm like, well, I got to go. Kim's waiting in the car. But that's going to wrap it up for this week. Go follow us on our socials. Bentley, since you're not doing music, you don't really have any socials anymore. But
No.
look for them in Standard Proof advertisements, and you do a lot of other fashion things.
Other things. Yeah.
But,
I'm all over the place.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for
We love
having
you.
me. Yeah.
And
I like you.
Thanks. Until next time, keep it weird. I'm Jay.
I'm Kellen.
I'm producer Rodney.
I'm Bentley, the face.
The face of the face.
Keep it weird.
If we were the A team, he would be the face for sure.